Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Neve and I'd love to give you all a very warm welcome. So before we get on with today's video, I just want to say please ignore the boxes in the background. I am currently redecorating my room, so it's a bit of a mess right now, and they're all stuff that I am getting rid of and I don't want anymore, so yeah, we're just going to ignore that. As you can see from today's video, it is my August reading wrap up and my September TBR. So for August I managed to read 6 books, which is a record for me. It is definitely an improvement from my July reading wrap up. The reading wrap up is just going to consist of my ranking of the books, how I felt about them, and just my overall opinion basically. Something that I realised is that my ranking has changed. So I was talking to my cousin yesterday. We were going through each other's like Goodreads list of all the books we read and how we rank them, and I noticed I'd go back to books that I read and I'd change this like the ranking slightly. I'm not too sure why. I just looked at them and I was like, I don't think I'd rate them that now that I have read them, if that makes sense. So after I've processed what I read, there were definitely some changes from previous reads. The first book that I read in August, I started in July but I finished in August, so I'm going to count it as an August read, and that is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. So this is part of the Maple Hills series, so this is the first book. It follows Anastasia and Nate and their relationship and the whole winter sports of a college, and yes, so I rated Icebreaker as a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, I really enjoyed it. There were times where the characters did get a little bit annoying for me and a bit frustrating, but they did redeem themselves in other parts of the book. Now this book was a very hyped book on TikTok and also BookTube, and I sort of wanted to read it to see if the hype was worth it. If I'm honest, I would say yes and no, because when I went into it I was expecting a different story to what I read. I don't know if anyone else got that, but if they have read this, but that's how I feel, if that makes sense. It was a good book and I really did like it. 4 out of 5 stars for me, that's a really good book. So I did enjoy it. It was definitely on the spicy side. The spice was there, like everyone said on TikTok and on YouTube, but yes, and I really did end up falling in love with these two characters and how their relationship formed. It started off a bit rocky and then yeah. I am definitely looking forward to getting Wildfire, which is the second book in this Maple Hills series, so it'll be nice to read on about this whole universe of the Maple Hills. The next book I started reading in December of last year, but I wasn't really in the mood to read it, and also I don't know why I was scared to read it for some reason, but that book was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. Can I just say, I don't know what I was thinking when I did DNF'd it basically in December. I went back to it in August and I was so happy I did. I've seen so much about the series of ACOTAR and of it in a whole, and it's got such a fandom, and I'm very happy to say I am now part of that fandom. Definitely recommend it 100%. So this follows Farah and how she is trying to help her family survive, and then there's lots of things that happen, and then she meets Tamlin and it just follows their relationship, and then this world that Farah is drew into. But yes, it was a really good book. It was such a good starting book for the series and I could not put it down. So I gave A Court of Thorns and Roses 4 out of 5 stars. Again guys, that is a really high for me. So that is a good book. It just didn't, I think because it is the starting book of the whole series, it just gives you the foundations and the basics and gives you the telling of what is happening and what this universe is. So hopefully along the series there could be some possible 5 out of 5 stars. As I said, there's a lot of hype around this book, and was it worth it? Definitely. This book has given me such a love for fantasy and fantasy genre as a whole. I've definitely bought more fantasy books because of this, but so happy. Then the next book that I read in August was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This book is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. So the fine print follows Rowan, who is part of the higher up of a company who owns a theme park. There's 3 brothers, but this one focuses on Rowan. So when their grandpa dies, they each get a letter from him, from his will, with different tasks for them to follow. With Rowan's task, he comes to meet Zara, who is working in the little salon in the theme park. Then there is a big competition for a new design to happen, and then Zara is picked, and that is how their relationship is formed. They do not see eye to eye, but it's a lovely read. So the rating I gave this book was 4 out of 5 stars. Real good read. I really enjoyed it. I loved the style of the writing, and I really enjoyed the characters. Zara's character, oh my goodness, there was times where she had me laughing with just what she was saying in here, but I really enjoyed reading how their relationship comes about and how the progress of their relationship happens. But it was really nice read. This book was definitely giving me rom-com movie film vibes. Like, I could see it in my head, the characters. But yes, it was a really nice book, and I really enjoyed it. Then the third book that I read in August was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I was a massive fan of Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, and I was really excited to get into Love Theoretically. Love Theoretically follows Elsie and Jack. Elsie being stuck in a dead-end job in her career. She wants to be more than a professor, going to multiple places. And then we get Jack, who is the person that could help her improve and move on in her career. So, was it as good as Love Hypothesis? For me personally, no. That's just me being honest. I did enjoy it. There was a point, I'm not going to say when because I don't want to spoil anything, where I don't know why, I just burst into tears and I could not stop crying. And then my brother came up the stairs and he was like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "Go away, I'm reading a book." But if anyone knows what I'm talking about in a certain scene, then hopefully you do, and it's just not me crying over a soppy book. But yes, it was very good. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. So again, it was a good book. Really enjoyed it. Then the next book that I read was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. If you have watched one of my previous videos, you would have known I had wanted this book and wanted to read it for the longest time, and then I found it and I decided to read it in August. Oh my goodness, was it worth it? So I'd say yes. Not gonna lie, at the beginning I did find it hard to get into. I'm not too sure if it was the characters, I just didn't really understand the plot at first. And then once I started reading more and more, I was like, I get it now, I understand, and like the whole mystery and everything with who this legend is. But it was a good book. There were certain times where Scarlet did slightly get on my nerves, but they wouldn't last long, and then I'd get right back into the story and Scarlet's journey and everything. But it was a very good book. So I rated Caraval 4 out of 5 stars. Again, a good rate. Yeah, and I just overall really enjoyed this book. The last book that I read in August was Legendary, again by Stephanie Garber, and this is the second book in the Caraval series. Legendary follows Donatella, or Tella, and her journey through Caraval. This one got a bit more into the story of the background slightly. I really liked how Legendary gave us a little bit more insight into what happened to their mother, because she was briefly mentioned in Caraval, but it gets a bit more mentioned in here. I rated Legendary 4 out of 5 stars again. It was a really good book. I definitely cannot wait to get into the final book to find out what this whole mystery is. So they were the books that I read in August, and now it's time to get into my September TBR. When it came to picking out my September TBR, I did not know what book I wanted to read. I was very indecisive, going backwards and forwards. So I then decided to use one of those spinning wheel generators on the internet to pick out my books. So I picked out 6 books again because I thought if I read 6 in August then I can definitely read 6 in September. The first book that the generator gave me was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. So this one follows the eldest brother Declan and Iris. I'll just quickly go over the blurb. Declan: I'm destined to become the next CEO of my family's media empire. The only problem, my grandfather's inheritance clause. Fulfilling his dying wish of getting married and having an heir seemed impossible until my assistant volunteered for the job. Our marriage was supposed to be the perfect solution to my biggest problem, but the more we act in love for public, the more unsure I feel about our contract. Caring about Iris was never part of the deal, especially not when breaking her heart is inevitable. Ooh. Then it moves on to Iris. My plan to marry Declan was simple in theory: move in together, throw a wedding, have a baby. We set rules to prevent any kind of issues, ones that were never meant to be broken. No matter how much Declan tempts me, but what happens when our fake relationship leads into our real one? Falling in love was never an option, at least not for me. When I read that blurb, I was like, oh, we get some like twists and turns, and we're getting in deep. Cannot wait to get into Terms and Conditions. So the next book that was drawn from the wheel was The Roommate by Rosie Dannon. Personally, I've not heard a lot about this book. I haven't really read into it as much. So when I read this, I will be definitely going in very open-minded. Quickly go over the blurb. Clara Wheaton is the consummate good girl, overachieving, well-mannered, utterly predictable. When her childhood crush invites her to move cross-country, the offer is too good to resist. Unfortunately, it is also too good to be true. Suddenly, Clara finds herself sharing a house with a charming stranger. Josh might be a bit too perceptive, not to mention handsome for comfort, but there's a good chance he and Clara could have survived sharing a summer subtle if she hadn't looked him up on the internet. Once she learns how Josh has made a name for himself, Clara realises living with him might destroy the reputation she spent years building. But while they may not agree on much, both Josh and Clara believe women deserve better sex. What they decide to do about it will change both of their lives, and if they're lucky, they'll help everyone else get lucky too. Can I say I'm reading this book very open-minded? I sort of bought it without reading the blurb. I know you're probably thinking, why did you do that? I don't know. You know the theory about yellow attracts the eyes? I think that's what happened. But yes, I cannot wait. The next book the wheel drew out is my current read, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. So this is the second book in the ACOTAR series. Farah is immortal. She has rescued her lover Tamlin from the sadistic fairy queen and now possesses fae powers beyond imagining. But Farah cannot forget the destruction she wrought to save her beloved, nor the bargain she made with Rhysand, High Lord of the feared Night Court. And as Farah is drawn to ever deeper in Rhysand's world, she senses a dark pain in his heart that echoes her own. For good or ill, Farah must embrace the changes within her. War is looming, and only the full might of her new powers can save the people she loves. So far I'm about this far in, not reached the halfway mark yet. Just want to give a quick shout out to my best friend Sean for my birthday. She very kindly gifted me this sort of personalised bookmark. Look how gorgeous it is, and it also has my name on the back and I love it. I've used it for multiple books that I've read, but yes. Let's get back onto the video. So the next book that I drew from the wheel is Three Sisters by Heather Morris. So Heather Morris wrote The Tattooist of Auschwitz and Silka's Journey, and this is just another one of her books. To be honest, I am really looking forward to getting into this one because I did enjoy The Tattooist of Auschwitz and Silka's Journey, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy this one too. Sibby, Magda, Livia. Their story will break your heart, their journey will fill you with hope, their names will be remembered. Survival would be their victory. So I am very much looking forward to getting into this book. The next book that I drew from the wheel was Unexpected Lessons in Love by Lucy Dillon. I had started this previously, but I DNF'd it because I just wasn't in the mood for it, and now I'm so happy to be going back. Jeannie always wanted to fall in love, and she's finally got the whirlwind romance she dreamed of, but now she's on her way to the wedding she can't shake off, the tight sensation crushing her chest. Is it just nerves, or is this all happening a bit too fast? Jeannie has one last chance to shout stop, but just as she grabs it, a twist of fate throws everything she knows into the air like confetti. What Jeannie learns about her fiancé Dan, about her own heart, and about the power of love itself will change her world forever. Definitely cannot wait to get into this and actually finish it, because I did feel like I could have finished it. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I think I must have gone on a book buying spree and bought so many other books that I wanted to get through, so I DNF'd it, but I cannot wait to give it a second chance and get back into it. So the last book that I drew from the wheel is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name correctly, I do apologise. I've had this book for a while and I just haven't read it yet. I'm excited to get into it. When I've gone to pick the next book to read, it always catches my eyes, but I'm always like, nah, I'm not feeling it. Catalina Martin desperately needs a date to her sister's wedding, especially when her little white lie about her American boyfriend has spiralled out of control. Now everyone she knows, including her ex-boyfriend and his fiancé, will be there. She only has 4 weeks to find someone willing to cross the Atlantic for her and aid in her deception. NYC to Spain is no short flight, and her family won't be easy to fool. But even then, when Aaron Blackford, the 6'4", blue-eyed pain in the ass, offers to step in, she's not tempted even for a second. Never has there been a more aggravating, blood-boiling and insufferable man. But Catalina is desperate, and as the wedding gets closer, the more desirable an option Aaron Blackford becomes. Definitely giving you enemies to lovers within that blurb, and I cannot wait. Again, it's giving me rom-com vibes, like you could see it in a film, so I cannot wait to read this. There we have it, guys. We have now reached the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Let me know down below what you are currently reading and if you recommend it. Always good to get different recommendations of books. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe to see more, and I will see you guys very soon for my next video. Bye!